Bugs. That's what I'm talking about. Now bugs, first of all, conjures up images of creepy crawly little things, things that go bite in the night, things that may harass you, annoy you even, pests. So what are bugs? Commonly, they're what we call them insects. One thing I found, or did you really know, there's 1 million different species of insect. And each one of those species, there's 1 million to 1 billion members of each insect species. So there's literally billions and trillions of them, all out there to annoy you. But bugs also has transcended from the animal kingdom, from being the largest group in the animal kingdom, over to computing. It's now moved over, and is terminology used in computing to describe a persistent error, or a fault, or, as I like to call, because I'm in computing and develop software, a hidden feature, one that you're not paid for. But bugs, how did they transcend from the animal kingdom into computing? Well, there's an interesting story. It's on the 9th of September 1947, when they were looking at the Harvard Mark II computer, which was the size of this room, but probably had the power of a handheld calculator, had an error, and they were trying to find out what the error was. So they were searching through all these wires and valves, and eventually they found it. And I actually found a picture of it as well. They found a moth that's got stuck in one of the relays. And so they found the bug, and that's how it came into history. But anyway, since then, bugs have become persistent through computing. Now, you only have to look at Microsoft. Microsoft, the company, every Wednesday release patches for their bugs. They release lots of patches for their bugs. As an example, in October 2006, they released patches for no less than 26 bugs in their operating system. So bugs are persisting throughout computing. The International Data Corporation did some research and found out that 40% of applications, software applications released into the general environment, had 1 to 10 critical bugs. Critical bugs being things that make your PC crash, you get the blue screen, and the typical, you've got to reboot the machine. They also found that 75% of computer applications went out with what they called serious bugs. These are bugs that don't cause it to crash, they just behave slightly differently. They go right when you want it to go left, sort of thing. But nonetheless, you can still work on your computer with those. And those are definitely features in some of the software we sell. That's all. Don't put that in the video. So there's lots of bugs around. They persist throughout computing. So they're not only transcended in name from animal kingdom to computing, it's also in nature. There's literally millions and millions of bugs, and they're annoying habits, they're annoying little glitches that happen with computer software throughout. Now, one of the interesting things with it, they've persisted so much that they've actually created another industry. We now have bug tracking software, and there's thousands of applications for it. So we've now written software to track bugs in other software. And you probably guessed it, there are bugs in the bug tracking software. We also have automated testing software. Again, there are thousands of applications of these. And these are automated testing software to test other software for bugs. So you've got bugs in this software testing for bugs in other software. You can try to figure that one out. But trying to illustrate here that really all software is as good as the person who programmed it. So not all computers are infallible. Now, as a nice story that I heard recently was held when in a training program in the States. They had a training program for senior development managers who were talking about looking after their software development teams. The first challenging question they put to this team was, you're about to board a plane. You then find out that your team have developed the software flight control system for the aircraft. How many of you would disembark? There was a flurry of hands. Apparently it was just a forest of hands. But through the mist of this, they could see one person sitting down on his chair. And the trainer said, "Why are you sitting down? You must have a fantastic team that develop, test, release software with no bugs." And the chap said, "No." He said, "Well, why would you stay on the plane?" He said, "Well, I have every confidence in the diligence of my team to develop software, test it and release it, such that I know for a fact it would never taxi to the end of the runway. So I'm safe in my seat." But one thing to shows really is that whether bugs are in the animal kingdom or in computing, they all are annoying things. And one thing that fact remains is that bugs are a fact of life.